they ready?
Ladies and gentlemen, it is a warm welcome to the Calabash guests present here, as well as streaming on behalf of announcement. As I am with style, let's get the show on the road.
Kwani mna jozi aje ama nini? Niambia ligi mbona mwenzaka yeye akashindwa kifungo cha 200 ila hanipigi. Sasa itabidi aongee na mimi kini hanisi wezi kunyonesha sasa mimi nikisiyo nipenda hukunambia endo mana huku nambia huku nambia sure huku
Warm welcome to the official announcement of Robert Marawa as brand ambassador.
I think so.
I think so.
I think even to myself.
The cat is out the bag now. I'm also going to ask Nisiwe Bengu just to join us as well, commercial manager for SA's. Makes her way up. When I have at this stadium, on this touchline, very different reasons. We've seen many a team come through this very tunnel, never with as much fanfare as I have.
It can only. No, good afternoon. It kind of feels surreal though, because being here. Game 19 played against Bafana Bafana, and on that day John Shoes-Mashwewu was outstanding. I think it was this section which was only half built, and as students we could only come through to the moment, but at the same time, because there is, difference. It's they've gotten to know. I think as this Sandy Siwa and the crew deserve a big round of applause for this.
As well.
Incredible.
Sandy, as we give you a big round of applause, let's talk about that. Robert mentioned family, and I guess KZN is where the HQ is for Hollywoodbets. So Robert is from KZN. Is a, I guess, started to where we are today.
Yeah, it's quite an exciting moment. I was part of the station. It was, when we went into, the initial discussions to welcome Robert to, team support back in Durban, our culture, pioneer, old voice, sports development that mattered to him. Fired up he would get about the of football and other sports in general. And I think that resonated a lot with us. We've also sought to pioneer in our own, sort of space, whether it be through releasing, being the first to release a compelling online product, the products triggered with passion, and I think that resonated with us. But it was important to start the relationship with. So it's very exciting for us to finally be here, because it was a journey, and I think that's what is important as Hollywoodbets, is to always get to know the people that we, get, because we aim to have a long-lasting and significant and sustainable.
Rob, what was, I guess, that would align then? And you drop where you like, this is a that I want to be associated with?
Yeah, I think it's an important question, Romy, because half the time brands and they know what in terms of, that having had a trip, because we've been for a while. I was organized it was, how large an organization, the focus of the people that were there. Then it was 2 buildings. I believe now they've even expanded even. I mean, I see PL and I see Brentford wearing a Hollywoodbets jersey and being a proud.
Yeah.
You almost buy a Brentford jersey because you can associate via brand. Is also indicative of, again, the work ethic and what you're expected, to do as a club. Then they Kingsmead. You look at even the horse race, Huntsville, their name is there. I mean, I can go through a long list. Comrades Marathon involvement out there. So it's not just a brand that has possibilities that we work on. It only made sense. Band, Marawa TV is also in the process of doing. They've been longer in the game, longer in the game, but maybe an independent, but that's the exciting part, is that when you branch off and you off-ramp, the kind of support becomes a partnership to saying, yeah, okay, we're putting money down. No, it's not that.
Powerhouse and Robert Marawa. Especially in sport, off-ramp. Important to have people believe in your vision to the next level.
I always believe in people. I always stuck to the belief that my boss is my listener, my boss is my viewer, my boss is the and fills up the F&B. How the Marawa TV journey, and literally I was not used to being and watching. I was always, yeah, you know how it is, extra strong. Yeah, so I mean, I was there with the wife, Emmy. I saw people around. I'm seeing Pierre Issa, and I'm like, but people in South Africa haven't heard from Pierre Issa since he scored all of those own goals and come close to him and speak. I started generating all of this content, posting it, just thinking, okay, it's on the social media platform. An affinity to it. When I came back to do, people were like, no man, why are you back? Go back to Egypt. We want more of that stuff. And believe it, found a video, went back to Egypt, and that's literally how it started, yeah.
Bosses are listening with the and in this relationship.
You know that Robert mentioned his bosses are the listeners, are the people. For us, our bosses are our customers, and I think that's one of the things, to bring that quality that Robert brings closer to our customers. Very exciting for them to make their picks now on football, having heard from Robert. He's more of a credible source than I am. So I think it's going to make betting that much more exciting. We are ways. The beauty of partnerships is that you get to collaborate, and it opens to have different view, a different perspective from the ongoing day-to-day operations, on how to amplify the things that we do. Sports development, all sorts of, not just as mentioned. When you have a perspective of someone who has his expertise, who has his knowledge, who's traveled the world, it enables us to look at what we're doing and how can we amplify it, and especially as we look to take our brand of South Africa, expanding into Africa. It enjoys and all those borders, enjoys an international following, and I think the timing is right for us as well. that's where we're looking to head. So I think working together, unlock those new audiences, it assists us to elevate the content that we have, you know, the quality of the work that, that's what we want to, we really want to make, you know, the world of sport that
sailing to the carpet being rolled out, you know. So was it an expensive sit down, finding those values, the vision, the mission, and coming up with, you know, what does the next year look like?
Because we've got an idea what we want to achieve. But I think it was important to sort of understand what is, you know, where does he want to take, you know, all of his, what are we trying to achieve? And then to marry the two and come up with something that's going to be authentic, to just benefit us in terms of our journey, but is going to take his listeners along the journey with us. It took our time, and it definitely was worth it. But we're here today, and you know, we're looking forward. Exciting that we've got packaged for our customers. They've got a lot to look forward to, and very exciting 2022.
Yeah, it is, and 2022 is around the corner, Robert. Where do you doubt that yes, the alignment is, and that this partnership does work, and yes, you do want to go forward? Because it's one thing to hard work start.
Started there. It started there. It became quite obvious that it's not just going to be about, hey, hi, we're here, we're launching, and then we sit back. We hit the ground running. That's why I don't know who else is there. I'm just on the top of my head from what I saw earlier. But, you know, those that have made football what it is, Mama Joy, Botha, you know, never forget the fans, because even when Johannesburg, I knew who was the PRO, who was waving fans on the flip. You know, so those are the types of people that to make understand. I mean, I was Sunday see when the team and said, you know, I don't know, I've never betted before, so that I get into the process, just like any ordinary person that I'm also going to take through to teach what it's all about. Because at times, yeah, people have their negative sentiments. So when you take time to know something and then to know the brand, then only can you go then what 30 days away. That's going to be staying for June, July. You know, that's never happened. So what does that mean? People that are part of Hollywoodbets family excited about it is all left for us to do, but also bring them closer to a trip down to Durban, also getting to know the company. So that's the kind of involvement. He's no stranger to betting. So in every, you need to be authentic. You're not selling anything to anybody. You're just saying this is how we do things, and it's already made an impact. It was about development, where development is one. It's development, football development. They're already thick in it as we speak. So making a difference, the CSI projects are crazy. So, but they also play in a certain level where you're not making too much noise, but making
you push in a powerhouse like Robert.
Romy, it becomes a lot easier because I've seen that there's an appetite. You know, people for compelling is to different angle, you know, a different voice, you know, people that you wouldn't even expect to hear from, a different sort of concept to sports, not just the play, the business. And I think gives us quite the have. You know, we've got a sports blog, we've got a lot of content that are. And I think with Robert on board, it now brings in a new audience, the cross-pollination of audiences. I think the quality of content to consumers of those platforms is what is going to make it quite an interesting, allows us to work to sort of expand even of locals around football in Africa, you know, popular in other countries in Africa in terms of sport. I think it's going to be bigger than just us expanding into the country. To the much more, you know, loud sport in Africa, because I think African content, see a lot of content coming out of Africa, and I think we have an opportunity to do something that's quite compelling. So I think that's going to be our vehicle into that space.
Robert also talks about CSR is the foundation as well. It's about at the end of the day,
Yeah.
you know, and giving back in a big way. Companies don't have to do that. For those that help, at the end of it all, you don't get that very often. Why is giving back a part?
Important that we work with people things that are important and issues that affect it. I don't think it's normal for us to turn our customers. I mean, we have 5,500 team members that reside in cities that we operate in. It's unrealistic for us happening on the ground is where it is South Africans of those communities, and it's important for us that as we, you know, grow that we operate in. So I think for us it's a very natural thing. You know, we live in these communities, we operate in these communities. These are the people who support us on a day-to-day basis. And without the communities that we operate in growing with us. For us, that is a true reflection of growth and a true reflection of elevation when you grow with the people who are from the beginning. And I think that's what for us. We also understand we're in the business of sport. Obviously, from a commercial perspective, people, we need to see diversity that we see within Hollywood sport. It's a lot of reasons as to why important for us, but I think it also comes authentically because it's not mandated. You know, it is very much a part of everyone's lives at Hollywoodbets. All of the local team or a local they live in spaces that they operate in, so it becomes a very authentic thing, sort of snowball of our culture. Very much. So when we enter into relationships with the likes of Robert, that's one of the things that really drew us to him as well, that it was important for him, and it is important for him to see back.
I think that said for you, I guess the link here in giving back. And in which way are you going to be a part of enriching the lives of young boys and girls?
And there's so many young girls and boys, Romy, that look for hope and inspiration somewhere. What was his background? What was his background? What lifted them out of that poverty? We see now in superstars, global icons, whatever people globally. We neglect these leaders to and tap into talent, then we are failing. Because again, earning is about God has given you. God has given some people the ability to sing, and they become singers and musicians, and they fill up the very same of being in the field where Sabala scored a goal in the world of sports. This is where they be very visible. That is their job, that's their duty. People voted for them. Values of talent, education, molding. At times you go across and you send those kids to the world. Places, Stephen Pilar, Sean Bartlett, Benny McCarthy, and Aronson, so many others, Lucas Khatebe, that have not been replaced in those numbers that we had players leaving the country. All of those can be realized because they become reality.
Yeah. I want to say that, you know, there's somebody else with the gift of talking and asking. Ambassador. Back to your childhood and where you grew up, to where you're sitting today in a very stadium where you said World Cup goals were scored, you know, Spiwe Shabalala, and here you sit, Robert. Did you think, I mean, sure. And the Robert here, and just the strides that you, did you think that this is it, this is where you'd be?
I mean, I was having a chat earlier with Bertie, management of the game, but also where I was when South Africa played Tunisia, sitting behind as a student in the extra strong, having taken a Greyhound from KZN and come here. Otherwise, you make very loud music. Wanted to sacrifices that, you know, so one didn't walk this big city of Joburg having any contacts. I didn't know anybody here, but you knew what you liked, you knew what you wanted, and I had seen remnants of Dan Sitsedis and ZZ Mason playing in Orlando Stadium and so on. My heart was there, you know, and that's what one team and a purpose. And I always say that there's no human being an end to it. As long as the man above allows it to happen, there'll always be opportunities, you know. This becomes a perfect opportunity for the journey to continue. To identify those cricket, those rugby players, those football players, because even look at what happened with the rugby. Everybody or by experts, now he's overtaken. He's breaking records left, right, and center. Brought the trophy back and scoring the first tries in the history of the Rugby World Cup. You know, those come with a plan, but they also come with pressure, and that is where our duty is. But I love the Hollywood. Will be going.
Amazing.
That will be to make that, you know, the step by step is seen by all those who will be tracking it. And believe you me, Romy, it's we see talent at dozen all time, but the kids are despondent. They end up drinking and they end up behavior. And
so Robert Marawa Foundation, obviously, as well, coming in seat one day. Other than that as well, and there's a particular footballer who's been in the late. I think I have the capacity. And I said, as long as it can.
I mean, when the team a dictatorial relationship through it. And the launch was happening in terms of the planning of it, you know, for me to say and show up front about. You get a guy like Rodney Ramagalela who, even before house burning down to had already been suffering loss of families through time. And this the guts, the capacity to go and train to try and overcome injuries he's been suffering. Because, Rodney is no teenager, so at the end of the day, the body catches up, but the mind longevity. Because and it's going to take time. I mean, if you have a lifetime of memories, more, and place. Who was that minister that spoke about a Smolanyana something? So there's a Smolanyana contribution that I would like has bring hand to because I do believe that it's an important gesture that needs to be made. A piece of please bring it on stage so that we can do the presentation. It's okay.
We will get that on its way.
But maybe we can get Rodney to be on his way.
Yeah, why not? Rodney, if you could make your way up.
I think we all know stalwarts of many a club, but all the Black Leopards, Mamelodi Sundowns, you name it.
Yeah.
And good to see you, Mama. Thank you.
Right here, Rodney. Go ahead.
So like I said, that one that has been following and understand the plight and over to him. I thank Sandisiwa, I thank the team that's traveled from Durban for making it that one